Dear friend, thank you for your endless support. By your support, we reached 544 subscribers. Hopefully, in the near future, we're gonna reach 1,000 subscribers. Everything is done by your support, and really appreciate your support. Thank you for your support. Today, we're gonna continue with the listening, TOEFL listening, IBT listening. We have connection information questions. Today we're gonna talk understanding organization. Then we're gonna also read connecting content and making inferences. This is gonna be for today's lecture. So we have TOEFL listening lecture questions. And this one we have, for example, class discussion. We call them a discussion between two speakers or more about a subject. The speakers take part in the conversation about the subject matter. It's a requirement for us to do summarizing the important idea being discussed between the speakers is a key element to answer this type of question. Then question style is going to be like this. For example, where does the discussion take place? What are the speakers talking about? Then the second kind of question will be academic conversation. It is a talk on different subjects relating to university topics between two speakers by giving information on an academic course or a procedure taking place on the college campus. Summarizing the main ideas of the speaker's talk is a key element in answering this type of question. It's very important to take a note on summarizing the information they give us. Question style is going to be like this. Question style: what is the student's problem? Number 2, what did the student do better? Why didn't the student do better in first semester? Number 3, what does the student have to do? Number 4, how was the professor attitude to the student's proposition? The third kind, we call them academic talk. In academic talk, we have like this. Will be an orientation or procedures being provided by an academic person on various college topics. We have to do summarizing the main ideas and the important details of the academic talk are essential to remember minor detail about the topic. Here is very important to make note because your summarization dependent on the information being presented. Question style will be like this. Question style. Number 1, we have here. What does the speaker discuss? Number 2, when will the student register for the semester? Number 3, according to the speaker, what should the students have on the registration day? Number 4, what are the processing steps? Okay, the fourth kind, we call them lecture, something when you present in a lecture. A speaker provides this information on an academic topic. We have to summarize the information being presented by the lecturer. Then we have to summarize the important ideas being presented by the speakers, or by the speaker, should be one, is the key to answer this type of question. Question style will be like this. For example, question number 1, what does the speaker discuss? Number 2, what is the professor talking about? Number 3, what is the topic of the lecture? Number 4, according to the speaker, what procedure should the students follow in case something happens? Let's go back here. What does the speaker, you have to know what they're discussing about, what subject they're discussing. And also, what's the, for example, we know the discussing could be different from what they're talking about. Then we have to know what's the topic of the lecture. And then also, if you, for example, maybe what the procedure then the student has to follow in case they want to do exam, or maybe they miss some kind of the exam or lecture or assignment. Let's go for a question. How do we answer the lecture questions? It'll be like this. First, we have to be very careful. Questions about a specific academic term or genre using signal words or idea normally accompanying the genre. Number B, question related to a specific topic within the genre being presented where the topic should not be too broad. C. Questions to teach some terms and concepts for technical words and associated with the topic being discussed by the speaker. D. The spoken lecture uses many cohesive devices and conventions which facilitate to introduce new ideas and thoughts to move from one idea to the next one, and to emphasize and remind the listener to what ideas being mentioned before. Here we have to look, for example, the idea they give us here, because sometimes they give us some signal. According to the signal, we understand if new ideas been presented or is the same idea but more detail about the same idea. The other kind, how to answer this kind of question or how it comes. We call it TOEFL listening conversation between a student and a professor. Okay? We have one-on-one question style. How we're gonna do it here. A strategy. In the strategy we have, for example, the discussion. Any topic we have it. For example, we have a topic. A topic is conversation is about 30 seconds. It's usually in sort of question asked by a student. Then the body of the discussion between the two or conversation, either the authority, which is here could be the professor, or student speaks about a point adding to the conversation. Here we have to do, for example, we have to write each point added by either student or professor separately in the body part, and every time either student or professor adds a new point, write it separately with indication to who said it. Here we have to divide our paper into like couple lines here for the topic. Then in the body we have to divide it into two parts because we have two speakers. We have professor and then we have the student. For example, maybe the professor is going to mention some point, then we write it down on the side of the professor. Then the other side, maybe the student will introduce some point, and then we add to the side of the student. Then the third part of the conversation, we have to look for it. We have to pay close attention to the information or image being screened and notice being written regarding the changes on the screen. Here we have to look for the screen. Sometimes they give us some photo or image or some note, then they tell us information about the change in the subject matter. D, we have to paraphrase the information being spoken or shown. Our position here, we made a note. From our note, we're gonna make it paraphrase. Let's go to the second kind. TOEFL listening question style conversation between a student and a professor. How we look at it. Number one, we have question related to understanding organization. Then we have it. Comparison could be or illustration. Because through the discussion or the conversation between the two, we know what they use it. Or why the professor organized the lecture in this way. There we look for it. What's the background? Or the historical event could be any about one of those. Number two, selecting a part of the conversation and relation to another part of the conversation. Number three, drawing a conclusion from the conversation, what we make a clue. Number four, classification or placing idea into different categories. Number five, connecting content. Number six, pragmatic understanding, attitude, or function. Sometimes we could make some note. We say conversation, note taking, how to make note taking. For example, we have to know the problem or the situation being discussed first in our scratch paper they give it us. Then we have to know what's the topic. For example, that was being discussed. Then we have to know the authority stance or the possession, sometimes we say, whether the authority is positive, the authority positive, was positive or negative, then we write negative. For example, when they respond between the authority, when the student have the question, maybe they make the conversation, we know from the way the person who has authority, we know if it's positive or negative. Then also we have to know what solution is being presented to solve the problem here by the authority, or maybe sometime by the student, maybe making some suggestion. Thank you very much, and hopefully this was good. And then for the next lecture will be connecting information question. We finish understanding organization, then we're gonna have connect